that opening run that they had kind of had you chasing from there, and you kept fighting. You couldn't quite get over the hump. How much did that run ultimately decide the game, even though it was early?
Yeah, I think that was obviously instrumental in them being able to keep us, at arm's length. Our guys really fought. It was a two-possession game, really, for the better part of the last 5 minutes. But yeah, that run hurt us.
Once you did cut it, you got it to 3 on the Bruce 3 with about 5 minutes to go. What was it like at that moment, like getting that close, and then I think they got a bucket right away, but just continuing to fight.
Yeah, no, I really loved I loved our guys' approach. I loved our guys' spirit and their the way they had about them, which has been consistent kind of with what it's been the last few weeks. This is a hard place to play. Michigan State's a good team. It's the best shooting Michigan State team since the Final Four team that we played against. I really believe that. I think it's the best shooting team that they've had. They just shoot it at such a high level. And they've got older kids that are really performing as well as they performed in their careers. So give them credit. They made some tough shots, but I love the way our guys fought and gave ourselves a real chance.
And like you said, Michigan State, I think they shoot around 40% as a team. But
yeah.
They hit a lot in the first half. Do you think that was more of them just hitting tough shots, tip your cap, or were you guys maybe not doing things that they needed to do to stop some of those?
Couple they got in transition, couple we had short closes, but to be honest with you, they had one guy who had made a 3, I don't think all year, who raised up and made one. And then, listen, you're going to make some shots at home, give them credit. It was a combination of both, but I do think there were a couple that were really challenged that they made. And that's kind of what they've done when they've played really well, particularly here. They've made a ton of threes. Look at their last stretch. They've made a ton of threes in the last 4 games.
And we just talked to Bryce, and he said that he thought maybe he was really trying to push the issue in the first half, maybe taking some shots that he admitted maybe I shouldn't take those shots, and he felt that he kind of reined it in a little bit in the second half. How do you think he did today in this environment?
I think we had some really good possessions. That's what I will say. I think we had some really good offensive possessions. We had a couple loose ones too, but I think we had some really good possessions. That's kind of what I'll say to that. And I think it was a combination, like Justice almost had a triple-double. I thought he was phenomenal. 10 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. And I thought we really played, quality offensive basketball for the most part. Sure, I think all of us might have had a couple possessions we'd like to have back, but it was really, really a good offensive performance.
You talked last time you played them about how they will score quickly if they can, otherwise they'll obviously run their offense. So especially in the first half, they were running on you guys at a pretty high rate. What was the challenge trying to slow them down in this game?
I think just they play faster at home, and I think off of makes, they're going to push it really aggressively. So I think just that is what makes it a challenge. And their ability to spread you out with four three-point shooters. I think that's the real challenge. Is they got multiple guys that can make open threes in transition.
The way that you've now closed the season with playing well in a stretch of games and probably taking some optimism going into the postseason, what is the vibe? What is the feeling now as you do flip ahead to, well, it's win or go home from this point?
Well, that it's as we all know, those one and done. It's all about how you play on that given night. So the fact of the matter is we have played well in this closing stretch, but it's all about how you play when you're in a one and done situation on that given night. So we'll need to have great preparation for whoever we play, and continue to play in a way that we've played here the last couple weeks, and see where it goes from there.
You've talked a lot about getting these freshmen all these minutes and all the stuff they've been able to give you, especially down the stretch. What are you thinking when you're at Michigan State? They haven't lost senior day here in 11 years. They're starting 4 seniors. You're starting 4 freshmen in this environment, in this moment. Like, does that hit you for half a second where you're like, all right?
Sure, it does. I honestly, I look at it and say, this can be really, really good for us. For all these guys to have this experience in these settings, on the road, at Purdue starting 4, here starting 4, I think we look at it and say this can be really good for us moving forward. That's what we hope. That's what it has to be.
I know you don't want to give too much away, but when you're going to a tournament like this, when you ideally want to win 5 games in 5 days, how do you prep your guys conditioning-wise or anything else to get these guys ready to say, hey, I'm going to need you guys to play 40 minutes for 5 straight days, which I'm sure none of them have probably ever done before? Yeah,
I think it's all about being 1-0 in these settings. Can we just get to 1-0 and then kind of figure it out from there? Obviously, we've done the four games in 4 days a couple years ago. So it's just, you know, it's obviously taxing, but it's all about getting to 1-0 and then kind of figuring out from there.
And you talked about the defense and some of the things, you know, trying to take away from them. Down the stretch, when you were constantly kind of knocking on the door, it seemed like they always had an answer. Like defensively, what were you still kind of searching for in some of those moments, just collectively?
Our ball screen coverage wasn't good enough, particularly in the middle of the floor. I just didn't think our ball screen coverage was where it needed to be. And we changed up our coverage, and it was better. But that was the biggest challenge. Is I didn't think our ball screen coverage was as tied together as it needs to be. But again, they're a good offensive team.